welcome to Healing the Mother Wound, a gateway to the Divine Feminine. And so I just want to touch quickly on what is the Divine Feminine, a term that is gained popularity in the past few years. And so we all, no matter what is our gender, have the Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine, and they both divine and they both super important for our life. And the way I like to differentiate the feminine from the masculine is imagine time and space, right? So time feels like the masculine energy. It's linear, it's measurable, you can plan, you can direct, you can really have that logic planned. And space is like the feminine. It is the creativity, it's the flow, it's the visioning, intuition, and mystery from the beyond. Now, they're both really important because when they meet, time and space, we are in the now. And so both are equally important. So not to say that the feminine is overvaluated over the masculine, is just that we've been living in a patriarchal society for so many thousands of years that the feminine has been pushed down. And so the feminine is definitely rising, and healing the mother wound is a very primal important step in embodying the sacred divine feminine. So there is no human relationship that directly impacts you like your relationship with your mother. From the moment of conception, everything that she eats, drinks, does, and thinks has a direct effect on your development. Now, take a moment to let that sink in, because this is really so fundamental to understand where we came from, what have shaped us. So this masterclass is for you if you had physically or emotionally absent mother, you have mixed emotions and complex relationship, present or past, with your mother and you want to find peace. You had an overbearing, controlling, or overly authoritarian mother. You had needs that were unmet by your mother. You have a deep, unfulfilled yearning regarding your mother, and you want to become a better mother yourself. So I found as a mother myself that when the relationship, this primary relationship with the mother heals, that is naturally impacting your ability as a mother or a father. So this masterclass is not for you if your mother was your best guide and inspiration, your mother was your greatest support growing up, you have an amazing relationship with your mother, and your mother was your role model to the divine feminine. If you can tick all these boxes, hallelujah, you are super blessed, and I celebrate you. And so you don't have to be in this masterclass unless you choose to, but really there is no need for you to go through what I'm about to share, because you're already great to dive into the divine feminine. And so it will be worth your time. This is my promise to you. Please, for your maximum benefit, be 100% present with me for this coming hour with your full attention, and please switch off all the other distraction, all the open internet browser tabs, social media, phone on silent, and just be here with me, because this will shift you in a profound way. And so I want to give you a great gift if you stay with me until the end. And this is crafted digital cards affirmations to rewire your brain. So this is just a little taste from a whole bunch of affirmations that are really created in such a beautiful way by an artist, and they hold potent statements. And if you wish, you can color them in, but even as they are beautiful to just hang all over. It's great for yourself, it's great for your children, and it's just going to uplift your frequency and to rewire your brain by sending your brain new messages, empowering affirmations. So if you stay with me until the end, you will get a downloadable link to download these affirmations. And I also want to be transparent with you. I have an amazing offer to give you towards the end of this presentation. You don't have to jump on that offer. It's only if you wish to go deeper with me. You will still gain a lot of benefit from staying on this masterclass. So here we go, and please stay with me until the end to get that amazing affirmations, and let's go. All right, so why am I here? So this is me. Yes, I do have red hair. I was born like that. And in this picture, I am 5 years old, just a year after my parents decided to immigrate from Latvia to Israel because of a lot of anti-Semitism and the really challenging time that they had there. And so they arrived to Israel without knowing the language, without knowing the culture. And very soon after, my mother got pregnant and had my little brother. So my brother was just born here when I was 5 years old. And this was a year before I physically saved my mother's life from committing suicide. Now, I want to get into a little bit of my personal story because it's really have a huge impact of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so my parents were experiencing a devastated separation, very violent, because my mother met this other man and she madly fell in love with. And she wanted to separate from my father and go ahead and have that relationship with this new man. And my father was resisting, and they had terrible fights. I remember standing in between them in the lounge on the little coffee table, and they were throwing plates at each other and they were hitting each other, and I was screaming and crying and begging them to stop. And my father was commuting, he was working in the next town, and he said to me, please watch over your mother because she threatened to kill herself. She bought these pills and she said she wants to die, so just make sure she doesn't swallow them. And so of course I was on guard, and very soon after came the day that she was standing in the kitchen and swallowing these pills. And I was fighting her physically. I still have a very vivid memory of that scene, of what she was wearing. She was wearing this stripy pink dress. And I was shouting and fighting her and trying to grab those pills out of her hands. And my brother was on the floor crying. And it was really traumatic memory that I have. And I managed to grab some of the pills. I remember how the white powder spilled on the floor as those pills broke. But she managed to swallow most of them. And I remember that I was crying and begging her to stop, and she was shouting back, stop that, I've got a headache. And I remember in my 6-year-old mind thinking, maybe she have a headache and that's why she's taking those pills and I'm just creating this scene for nothing. But of course, I was going by my father's instructions, and I was terrified that she is trying to kill herself. And so when she finished swallowing most of those pills, she grabbed my little brother from the floor and she looked me in the eyes and she said, please look after your brother. And she took him and she went to lie down in her bed. And I felt like I'm in an amok. I ran outside and I knocked on all the neighbors' doors, and some of them were not home, but some opened the door, and soon enough they called the ambulance, and they took my mother to the hospital, and they washed her stomach, and her life was saved. And so not even a month later, she had another attempt where she took her car and she rolled it down a valley into a void. And there was one little rock that was coming out of that steep void down. And I went to that place when I was older, and I couldn't believe how that one rock stopped her car. But it did, and she was saved again. And after that, my father let her go. So they divorced, he moved out, and we moved with my little brother and my mother to live with these new men, in his house, together with his wife that was crippled and was told that she doesn't have much time to live, and their 3 children. Now, after experiencing that moment of saving my mother's life, it changed who I was. I was no more a little girl playing dolls with her girlfriends. I was there as my mother's guard, as her therapist, as the one that is looking after her, pleasing her, and making sure that she wants to live. To the extent that before she got together with this man, I used to go to his office. I discovered where he was working, and I used to stand there and I used to beg him and wait for as long as I needed until he will write a little note for my mother so I can bring it home and make her happy. So I was willing to go all the way to really make her want to leave. And so we moved to this chaotic house, and the life was really a mess, a big, big mess. Fights between everyone, all these bunch of kids that put together. My little brother was wandering in the neighborhood. We often didn't know where he was. My mother was working hard hours. She just opened her own dentistry clinic. She's a dentist. And I was just really neglected in every possible way. And at that time, my mother also got pregnant with this new man. And all that time, he was sexually molesting me. So he would come to my bed at night, every single night, almost, and he would touch me in my private places and rub himself against me and whisper all sorts of things into my ear. And that was going on like that for a good couple of years. So I was about 7 years old back then, and at 10 years old, I couldn't live with myself anymore. So the feelings of shame and guilt and disgust were so overwhelming that I just felt that I cannot live in my own skin. And at that time, when it just started, I really didn't know that it's wrong or that something is off. I just went along with my body sensations, and I actually, to be really honest, felt quite a lot of pleasure from his touch, because he was very gentle and his touch was really kind and almost, it was not rough or invading in that sense. It was very gentle and really making me feel pleasure. And I remember the first time when I read the word pedophile, I was in my safe haven, my refuge place. Yeah, it was this huge orange place where people used to throw papers And I used to get inside because the doors were open. I used to get inside, close it from the inside, and there was just this little ray of light that came in. So it was a bit dark, but light enough so I could read the papers. And at that time, I was admiring this one singer, and I was collecting pictures and articles about her. And that was my place of refuge where I could just run away from the chaos and find some peace. And I came across this article about a pedophile, and that's when I realized that this is really not okay, that this is really off. And I could connect all the dots to why I was feeling so bad and miserable inside. And so at the age of 10 years old, my grandmother moved to Israel, my grandparents from Latvia, and I was walking with my grandmother. I will never forget that day. Yeah, that was a Saturday morning, and we were walking around the neighborhood, and I really used all my courage to tell her that horrible secret that I was carrying for over 3 years at that point. And my grandmother, of course, was very shocked, and she immediately told that to my grandfather, and then they called my mother to come over to her place so they could tell her. And so my mother arrived there, and again, I will never forget the next moments. That was imprinted on my inner landscape all these many, many years ago. She, first of all, locked herself in the bathroom when she heard that, and we heard crying, and we heard all sorts of things that she was saying, and we were really worried about her, right, because she has this history of wanting to commit suicide. And when she finally came out of that bathroom, I will never forget that fiery look in her eyes when she said to me, "You are a liar." And she grabbed a bunch of keys that she had, which contained many metal keys, and she wanted to hit me with that. When my grandmother jumped in between us, and she got hurt here from the keys and started bleeding down her face. And then my mother stormed out of the house. And so my grandmother didn't know what to do next. She called my father, told him over the phone what's the story. My father took some time to arrive from the next city, and he arrived together with 3 policemen that he called on his way. And they all arrived together, and they sat me around the table together with my grandparents and my father, and they started investigating me. And so they asked me many, many, many embarrassing, shaming questions, such as describe this man's penis and describe exactly what he was doing, and all sorts of questions that were really invading and really inappropriate, done by 3 strange men in front of my entire, well, not entire, but in front of my family. And so that investigation went for a good amount of time, because it was past midnight when we left my grandmother's house. And that's how I moved from living with my mother to living with my father overnight without any of my clothes or personal belongings. And so we arrived to my father's house. It was maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, and my father set me a little space to sleep in the lounge, and he went to his bedroom, and I overheard him speaking with his girlfriend, who became his wife and my stepmother. And he said to her, "I just brought my daughter to live with us." And she said, "What do you mean to live with us?" And he said, "Well, she's got no other place to live, and she will live here." And she said, "I don't want her here. She can't live here." And my father said, "Please, I have no other option. You have to accept that." And she said, "Well, I don't want to." And they had this argument going on. And so the next morning that I woke up, my life in this new house started on a very bad note with the first breakfast when she forced me to eat food that I didn't want, and she really did everything possible to show me on a daily basis how unwanted I was, how I was the issue of all her problems, how I was this thing that they need to get rid of. She didn't even talk to me directly. She talked to my father in a third language, and she constantly compared me to her daughter. She had a younger daughter, and created a really, really challenging dynamic between us. And my life in that house was really difficult. So I left very early. I was mostly on the streets. That's a whole other story I'm not going to get into. And by the age of 21, after service in the army, I left on my own to South Africa and never came back to Israel. Now, I want to say that I was a mess. I had a very potent double-dosed mother wound. All the wounds that are associated with these really primal wounds, such as betrayal, abandonment, separation. And I really dedicated my life to heal that. And so today I have good relationship with both my mothers. I completely forgave them. We are not in very close relationship. We live in different countries, and there was just no bond, really. But there is peace, and there is love, and there is good connection when we do speak, when we do see each other every couple of years. And if I manage to get into this space, then I really believe that it's possible for everyone. And so my journey took me to many, many places. I really walked the path that not many walk in. My life mission was to be healed. So I just couldn't live inside my own body. And after experiencing a dark night of the soul where I was on the toilet floor, almost overdosed from drugs, I realized that I cannot live my life like that. It was in my early 20s, and that was before children, thanks goodness. And I made the decision that I am going to heal, that I'm going to transform my life regardless of my circumstances. And my dream was to become a mama. I really, from the bottom of my heart, wanted to be the mother that I never had. And I wanted to raise children that in raising them, I could raise my inner child and creating amazing, phenomenal human beings that will be an asset to this planet. And I can proudly say that I have succeeded. These are my three jewels. They are my muse. They are my Zen masters. This picture is about 3 years ago, so they all a bit older now. And I'm truly proud of these humans. I can go on and on. I don't want to brag, but they are really phenomenal. They are really exceptional human beings with all their worldly achievements, but also in how emotionally balanced and well being they are, and how they confident, and the way they shine in the world. So back in 2012, I let go of a business that I had back then, that I've worked for 7 years, and it was on the rise. It was taking leading place in the market. And we went to this place called Africa Burn, which is the African version of the Burning Man. And I just received this very clear message that I need to let go of my business and I need to align with my life purpose. Now, at that time, I already had a lot of certifications. I was already on the path of healing others, not only myself, but I was distracted with the business that was like having another baby and took a lot of my time and energy. And so I listened to the whispers, or rather the loud voice of spirit, God, all that is, whatever you're comfortable calling that energy that is beyond us. And I let go of that business. And following that, I have decided to dive deeper into seeking the truth and into my own healing and establishing the skills that needed so I can pursue my passion, helping others. And so following the sale of the business, we sold our cars, we rented our home, and we went on a journey that we thought will be for 1 year, but ended up being 4 years around the world. So we went to India and Bali and Peru and Costa Rica and traveled in the States and Israel and Panama and Nicaragua, many, many places. But I really went with the intention of self-development, self-growth, and seeking the truth, the meaning of life, why we're here, why we have been placed here, and how can I help to elevate the human consciousness. And so in the bottom left picture, this is my family, my little babies on my back with Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. And on top of that, I'm sitting with my girls in the river in Costa Rica. We ended up living for 3 full seasons, that's almost 3 years, in an eco village. It's a transformational spiritual hub in the jungle of Costa Rica called Pachamama, where I deepen my spiritual practice and work so much with so much dedication, and really dived deep into healing and growth. So I helped hundreds of women to heal. I would probably say thousands by now with the latest summits that I've done. And this is really my sacred life mission. Do I only help women? No, I also have men clients and men followers. But personally, I'm very inspired and passionate about helping women because I'm a woman and because I am very aware about our womb power and womb connection. So I just want to share with you that when I was in the army, I slept in one room with 24 women. We were 25 altogether. And at one point, after a couple of months of adjustment, we were all bleeding at the same time. Now, can you register with what I've just said? This is beyond miraculous for me. This is really showing how all our wombs are connected with this invisible thread. We are all connected in our connection to the mystery of the divine. And I am really passionate about working with women. But again, we all have the feminine essence within us. And so I also have men as clients. So, hi everybody. I haven't officially introduced myself. My name is Nunaisi Ma. I'm a life coach, therapist and mentor, holistic health consultant, clarity breathwork facilitator, yoga teacher. I'm certified in dozens of healing modalities, and I'm the author and founder of the Rise movement. So this is my new book, publishing in this October, and this is about how to transform trauma into sovereign power, soulful purpose, and sacred pleasure. Now, if you haven't gotten that book, I highly recommend you do, because it's a journey throughout our blueprint, so moving through the chakras, and each chakra represents an essence of our being. And I wrote about that essence, and I also wrote about the primal wound that connected to that essence. And by clearing that, which I share how to exactly, we can unblock that chakra and fully embody her essence to become whole as we are in the essence of our soul, right? But trauma have moved us away from that. And so this is really coming back home into the integrated self by embodying all those parts of ourselves. So what is the mother wound, right? I've been talking about the mother wound, and what is it? So I'm not coming from blaming or pointing fingers at our mothers. I have deep respect for all mothers. I think it's a very, very challenging role. And I am coming from a place of compassion. Yet, as children, as young children, if we had needs that weren't met, and when I'm talking about needs, there are the basic needs that, of course, we all have for food and for safety and for clothes and all that. But these other needs that each and every child has, and they are, in a nutshell, acceptance, belonging, the need to feel unconditionally loved, the need to feel celebrated, seen, and of course, belonging is a big one. Not only that, I know that our mothers, coming from many years of women's suppression and patriarchy, had to cope. They had lots of coping mechanisms and unresolved pain that they just passed on to us unintentionally, right? And so the mother wound is really that void of pain that from a little child's point of view have not been acknowledged or received the way this child needed at that time. I want to share with you this experiment that has been done on mice, where it's been done so many times, so you can find it all over the internet. Scientists took a group of mice and they exposed them to a very specific scent, the cherry blossom, this flower you see here in this picture. And that cherry blossom has a very strong fragrance. And so whenever they exposed those mice into that fragrance, they also inflicted electrical shock. And they did it enough times that the mice have linked that smell to the pain they felt from the electric shock. And they had a very distinctive reaction to it. They were kind of swirling in circles. And so they experimented by having their offsprings born, taking them away from the parents, so those babies couldn't learn anything from their parents by observing, because they were separated right at birth. And they then exposed those babies to the cherry blossom scent without inflicting the pain of the electrical shock. And those babies had exactly the same reaction as their parents did. Not only that, but it went so for 7 generations. So in other words, if in mice trauma passes through epigenetics for 7 generations, what about us human beings? So what does this mean about your mother, knowing our collective traumatic past? I mean, think about it for a second. Our past, no matter where we are born in the world, has so much trauma of war and killing and genocides. I mean, the witch hunt is not even 7 generations past, where women were persecuted and burning alive on the stake for singing songs or dancing or showing empathy to animals. And not only that, but before women was burning on the stakes, they were tortured to point out and name other women. So that created such a big betrayal wound in the feminine tribe, where women were naming their sisters and mothers were naming their daughters simply because they were tortured so badly and they had to survive. So we have all of that in our genes, all of us. So now take your mother for an example and think about what might she had experienced in her lifetime and through epigenetics. A wounded mother subconsciously wounding her daughter. Deep breath for that, because this is has a lot of weight, but really, really true. No mother wishes to hurt her child. This is not an intentional decision. This happens because of her own wounding, of her own unprocessed pain, of her own lack of tools and skills to work in her own life. And then comes the child, and especially the daughter. And what does children do? Children always, that's their job. They point out all those wounded places. They see all the blind spots and they bring it to the light. And so a parenting journey is as much growth for the parent as it is for the child. And I know it from my own journey. I had to really heal myself, even more so when my children were born, because they would highlight my unresolved pain so profoundly. And I already found myself perpetuating that and bringing it on to them. So I observed that happening, and I had to make a willful decision to work on my wounds so it doesn't circulate to them. And so I want to ask you, how would your life look like and feel like if you heal the pain? So take just a moment to feel into it. And so this is a list of symptoms of the mother wound. Not feeling safe enough to take up space, show up, or voice your truth. Low self-esteem, low self-confidence, unworthiness, feeling of not being good enough. Attracting codependent relationships, especially the intimate ones. Unclear sense of who you are or your identity. Overgiving, people pleaser, lack of boundaries, or overly rigid and controlling. Underachieving, self-sabotaging, and not utilizing your skills and potential. Persistent sadness and depression. Emotional roller coaster, emptiness, persistent worry, anxiety or fear, and feeling competitive with other women. Now, this is by all means not a complete list. It's just what fitted into this page. So there are many more symptoms, because the mother wound is such a profound wound that really impacts everything. So I want to bust a few myths, and this is really important because I've heard all those myths from people while I was on my healing journey, and it's really important to address them, right? Like in the picture where we sometimes as children, felt that there's a monster under the bed, and that monster was controlling our state of being and got us into fear. So, yeah, there is really no monster under the bed, and we make it in our mind. And so I don't want you to make that monster in your mind. And so the first myth is you don't need to revisit the past. I've heard that a lot, especially in spiritual circles, that, we all live in the present, right? Because everything is about being present in the now. Absolutely. But if you're present in the now, how present in the now can you be when your past is haunting you and constantly looping in your thoughts and in your emotions because it is unresolved? You can't. And so it's only after you bring your past to peace, after processing it, then that baggage is gone and you can be light in the present. The other myth is that healing is painful, and then so let's avoid it. So I want to say that healing might be painful. I don't want to sugarcoat it and say, there is no pain involved. Of course, pain is there. We're dealing with pain. But I want to say that it's not as painful as when the trauma or when the wound was happening. The pain is really wired in that moment of time. And it is much more painful to constantly be run by those unprocessed wounds. So it's almost like if we don't heal it, like if we don't bring that wound to the surface to heal it, then it is infesting our whole system from within. So it's like getting bigger and really affecting the entire body because it's like an inflammation that grows. So if you feeling sick or enough of those constant thought loops and constant trying to suppress those feelings that whenever the button is pressed, they just erupt like a volcano, then know that healing is much less painful than that. And actually could be even fun. Could be even fun. The other myth is that time heals. So I just want to break that because time does not heal. Time can have other attributes like, we get wiser with time. We understand more as we grow into a new decade with time. So sure, that gives a sense of healing, but without actually addressing the wounds, they are still there and no time will actually heal them. Another myth is that trauma and pain are lifetime. So in other way, if you have experienced trauma, that's it. It's your life sentence. You are bound to live with it forever. And the truth is that once you are going through that rabbit hole of healing it, it's gone. It's no more a controlling factor in your life. It's no more a stealer of your vital life force energy. It's no more a heavy baggage that you have to carry and leap throughout life, carrying that heavy past. It completely dissolves and you are ready to move into the next level of your evolution. So it's definitely can be left in the past by doing some work. And another myth is that someone is coming to save you. And so I want to bust that one because the truth is that no one is coming to save you. Not your mother and not your father and not the authority figure and not your government. No one. It's really a choice that you have to make. And you have to do it for yourself. In fact, your adult self needs to do it for your inner child, now that you are an adult. And so without healing, you might find yourself on a constant emotional roller coaster. You might find that the shadows are following you wherever you go. You live in one relationship, you're going to the other. they're still there. You move in one work, you go into the other, they're still there. You might find that those triggers that, especially in relationship with other people, where somebody says something that all of a sudden presses your buttons and you react in a way that even surprises you. It has no logic, it has no excuse, but it's almost like your reptilian brain takes over and you have a reaction of a child, which really that's what happens. And of course, projections that we point on other people, what we see or long to see in ourselves, overwhelm, constant feeling of being in flight, fight, or freeze situation. So the nervous system is very uptight, issues to sleep, issues to even go through the day. And then, of course, the haunting of the past that is constantly there, looping in the thoughts, looping in the feelings, and an inner conflict. So constantly having that terror between right and wrong, between the mind, the logic, and the heart, the feeling, between should and shouldn't, between need and needn't, must and mustn't, all that inner conflict that you might experience. And of course, addictions is a big crutch for many people as a coping mechanism. No judgments. I've been through all the possible addictions, you name it. I've been addicted to heavy drugs. I've been addicted to smoking. I've been addicted to sleeping, to so many things. And this is really a way to cope, a way to survive. But those addictions, if you have them, you know, they rob you from your life force energy. And you know you can do better, but it's really hard to come out, right? Because they have that momentary, they filling in that inner void of pain, right? But this is only momentary, it does not last. You know that. So the great news is that healing is simple. It is not always easy, but it is simple. There is a roadmap, there is ways to heal. And I've been on the search for those ways for over 25 years. And so I have seen what works, and I am super excited to share it with you. So when we heal our mother wound, we heal our relationship with the sacred feminine, with the earth, with our bodies, and with the sisterhood. We align with our true self and tap into our innate zone of genius. We set free from intergenerational trauma, lifetimes of shame, guilt, and fear, pain, and sabotage and bondage. We liberate our soul to be who we are born to be and create a life we love. Does that sound great? Yes or yes? Sounds good, right? So I just want you to take a moment and feel into it. How does that can materialize in your life? How would you live your life free of the past? And what would you do with all that extra energy that will be released because it wouldn't be used to keep those wounds at bay, right? So at the moment, your system really uses a lot of your vital energy to keep suppressing all the unresolved pain, right? It keeps it there at bay. And so when you process and let that go completely, all that energy is released and you can take it to create the life you want. So what would you do with a lot more energy? So these are the benefits of healing the mother wound. Integrating the defragmented parts of yourself, feeling whole. Freeing up vital energy that was consumed in suppressing the wound. Feeling inner peace, growing in self-love, worth, and confidence. gaining spiritual maturity and initiation into life as a sovereign woman or man, emotional balance and presence, self-actualization and saying yes to your full potential, resolving dynamics in your relationships and embody your inner goddess or God. So this is really the outcome that can happen and that bound to happen once you heal this very primal wound and once you really discern between what is yours and what is true to your soul and to your being and what you have received from your mother and from your ancestors. So what are you going to create in your life with more energy available to you? Here I'm asking you that question again. Do you know what would you create? What would you create if you increase your self-worth, if you increase your self-love? Let me ask you this. Can you feel the call to heal and rise? Can you feel that invitation to embody more of yourself so you can live the life that you are designed to live, that is your birthright? And so I'm really excited to introduce you to Healing the Mother Wound as a gateway to the Divine Feminine, 12 weeks online transformation. So here we go. Module 1 is unlocking the mind. Now these modules are designed as the gateways to heal that I've discovered, those 7 gateways. And so I've designed this entire program to follow those gateways. And so each module is like walking through that gateway. So we have to start with the mind, because if the mind is resistant and the mind is in the way, nothing else will work, right? So module 1 is unlocking the mind. Creating a mindset of growth and transformation. I'm going to take you through a process to really make the foundation so we can work with the mind. We're going to be changing the narrative to generate inner peace. We're going to be shifting unconscious patterns. We're going to be busting limiting beliefs and installing empowering ones. And we're going to be rewiring the brain for confidence and self-worth. So this is really just step number 1, and it's the foundation for the rest of the work to follow. So you don't have to complete that in 12 weeks. In fact, I actually going to extend it to 14 weeks because I want every module to be 2 weeks. I find that to be the sweet spot, but you don't have to follow that. You can follow your own time, your own pace, as long as you go in that chronological order. So module 2 is, of course, unlocking feelings and emotions. Now, I spell it capital E and then motions because that's what they are. They are energy in motion. We're going to be creating emotional balance, ending that emotional roller coaster where these waves of emotions and feelings that just overwhelming and taking you away from your center. We are going to be learning emotional management and regulating the nervous system. We're going to be learning how to process difficult emotions with ease. We're going to be cultivating the superpower of anger and rage. That's right. They are high voltage energies that can create change if we work with them correctly. We're going to be discovering how to drop shame, guilt, and feelings of not being good enough. That's a huge one for so many people that I've worked with. And we're going to be liberating through forgiveness and happiness. In module number 3, we're gonna be unlocking the body. So we're gonna be releasing trauma from the body, that freeze, flight, and flight response. We're gonna be generating safety and sacredness in the body, restoring that rejuvenation, that natural flow of the body. We're going to be practicing the 4 pillars of healing and embodiment to feel amazing in the body. So I found that there are 4 pillars that are essential for healing, transformation, and growth. And I'm going to be sharing with you those 4 pillars. We're actually going to move through each and one of them. We're going to be connecting to the elements within the body, because we are the elements, we are the earth. And we're going to be tapping into the medicine of pleasure. So I always say that pain is the pointer, but pleasure is the path. So we are uncovering that pain and processing it so we can clear the way and really tap into the path of pleasure, which really feels amazing in the body. And it's just a nicer way to move through the journey of life. And of course, we're going to be activating womb power. In module number 4, we're going to be unlocking the soul. So this is where we're going to be cultivating the soul lessons that you have learned and gained throughout your journey. We're going to be aligning with soul purpose. So really finding your own unique signature. We're going to be amplifying intuition, imagination, and visualization, your superpowers, feminine superpowers. And we're going to be raising our frequencies. That will happen just by processing all the negative so we can spiral up to the positive. In module 5, we're going to be activating the Divine Mother. Now, when I found that link to the Divine Mother that was bypassing my biological mother, that's where I felt that I was always held, supported, and loved. And I want you to experience that as well. We're going to be connecting with the goddess essence. We're going to be healing with Mother Earth. And we're going to be empowering the inner mother. Because we all have that inner mother. And we are going to tap into that power to activate her. And then in module 6, we are going to work with the inner child. We're going to be reparenting our inner child. We're going to be filling the void within. So that void of pain, we're going to bring healing into it. We're going to fill it with essence. Rather than it's now trying to be fed with addiction and all sorts of dysfunctional coping mechanisms, we actually going to fill it with soul essence, with what it needs to be resolved and in peace. We're going to be breaking through those addictions by doing so. We're going to be mastering self-care essentials, and we're going to be cultivating self-compassion and self-forgiveness. We cannot offer compassion and forgiveness to others before we found it in ourselves. Because then we naturally overflowing with that to others once we found it within ourselves. In module 7, we're going to be healing your lineage. So we're going to end the dysfunctional cycle that runs through your bloodline. And we're going to be healing the past generations as well as the future generations. So by doing this work, not only that you bring peace to your lineage, but you also generate healing and peace for generations to come. Really important work. We're going to be breaking oaths and past contracts that you might still unconsciously carry and that still have a very huge impact on the way you live your life. And we're going to be supporting through the power of the sisterhood. So it's really my intention to also create a movement of empowered women that support each other in the sisterhood. Again, with men, men can join and welcome, but I'm super passionate about the power of the sisterhood in particularly. And so this is all the modules together. Again, module 1 is unlocking the mind and then unlocking the emotions. In module 2, module 3 is unlocking the body. Module 4, unlocking the soul. Module 5, activating the divine mother. Module 6, reparenting the inner child. And module 7, healing the lineage. This is really a comprehensive journey. It's more than a course. It's really a journey. It's a transformational. And once you start it, you're going to come out transformed. You're going to come out the better version of yourself, the lighter, the more integrated. And I'm also offering extra bonuses with this course. So this course you take over 14 weeks or go in your own pace. I'm also offering 2 transformational meetings on Zoom where we're going to do breath work, hypnotherapy, movement, and that's going to be a safe space to share, connect, and ask questions. Value at $200. You're gonna have 30 days Raise Your Vibration course valued at $297. This is 30 days of actionable little steps that will raise your frequency. They are easy to follow. They don't demand a lot of your time. They are digestible in bite sizes and they will raise your vibration. You're going to get a Sacred Feminine Rising mini course valued at $97. So how to further embody that wise feminine aspect of yourself. You're going to get the How to Love Yourself book valued at $15. And you're going to join our community for ongoing support. And this is really priceless, to be in a container of safety with like-minded women that are in the same journey as you are. And so here's what you get. 12 weeks, actually 14 weeks of online program valued at $2,000, 2 transformational Zoom meetings valued at $200, 30 days Raise Your Vibration course valued at $297, Sacred Feminine Rising mini course valued at $97, How to Love Yourself book valued at $15, and join our community, priceless. And that comes to a total of $2,609. Now I want to tell you that I have probably spent thousands of dollars on my healing journey. I have done so much therapy. I have participated in retreats, workshops, online. I saw all sorts of, I worked with shamans and I've done so much work. It's worth it. I mean, there's nothing more you can find a better value for money than to invest in yourself, right? But I wanted to make it really affordable for you. So your price today is $111 times 3. So that means that you pay $111 per month to walk on that journey with me and with us. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, present you with this opportunity that is affordable and that is doable and that will take you by the hand and walk you through, navigate you through your life so you can raise yourself to live the life that you are here to live. Or you can do once-off payment of $297. And you're gonna get all the weeks as they go. It's really important to follow the chronological order, as I said before, because there is a process, there is a journey, there is a path forged here that I haven't had when I was looking and searching and had to resolve my issues. I was a pioneer in seeking. There was not even an internet that I could just hop on and get all that well of information. I really had to sift through and find and forge that way forward. And I'm super excited to share it with you. And so I want to give you my 100% love it or your money back guarantee. Right? If you don't love it, don't enjoy it, it's not now, whatever the reason is, before 30 days, if you send me an email, no question asked, I'll return your money. That's how I'm confident that you will find gold in here. And so I also want to do something really special and only for those that will take quick decision. 10 of you that will register right now, the first 10 will get a private session with me worth $150. So I'm doing that to gift some people their lucky gift, and then I will work with them on their personal mapping out of their journey of where they are. And to encourage you to take that decision, right? Because sometimes when your heart says, yes, this is for me, I'm so ready, that's such a beautiful opportunity, the mind can kick in, especially that part in the mind that doesn't want change and doesn't want to come out of the comfort zone and is there to actually keep you survive. Right? So it's actually protecting you in a way, except it doesn't letting you risk, in a way, change. Right? So it's almost like that ancient reptilian brain that kicks in and then starts with all the logic, oh, but I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, or I don't know if it's for me. Right? So I just want to tell you that by committing that time, you will create more time for yourself because you're gonna create healing. And when you create healing, we talked about that amounts of energy that are released and available to you. You're gonna stretch time beyond time. Something magical will happen. That's the feminine. And when it comes to money, think about all the spending that you do on all sorts of things that you don't really need, whereas here you investing in the most important, worthy cause that could possibly be. Because when you heal yourself, not only, as I mentioned, you heal your past and your future generations, but you contribute to the collective. You start to overflow with happiness and grace and forgiveness and compassion and joy, bliss, ecstasy, all that. You become a magnet. You uplift the collective energies. And this is really the best contribution that you can do to the state of our planet by investing in you, by you becoming the torch of light for your own life, for the life of your dear ones, and that ripples on to your community and even to the world. So go ahead and register. I would love to journey with you, to meet you, and to walk you towards your better, much better future. As I promised, for those of you that stayed up till now, Here is a link to download the self-affirmation. So go ahead, you can print as many copies as you wish. And it's a nice project to do together with your kids if you have, to color them in, or very therapeutic for yourself. So go ahead and express your creativity in this beautiful way and hang them everywhere possible. It's good to hang next to where you brush your teeth, next to your bed, in your office, where you wash the dishes. And constantly when you read them, when you see them, let that sink in. Let that forge a new pathway in your neurological connections. So that will override a lot of the negative self-talk that you might have going on inside your mind, which of course we're going to be addressing. We're going to change that inner dialogue and make it a whole other supportive inner voice in the program. So I can't wait to see you inside. All my love. Be blessed. Gratitude and blessings on your journey. Ciao.